what went on. But I do have a question to Mr. Cameron. And, I don't want to learn your trade secret, Mr. Cameron. But, in item 7, where about this issue about the mayor's gala again and the tickets, and it says there that there was an allegation that the mayor was purchasing, using taxpayers' money to purchase golf fees and tickets for gala fundraising events from an account used for registered charities.
That was critical in that.
Yeah, from an account used, right? So, now I don't know who made this complaint. I don't know if you can disclose who made this.
I don't recall who complained, but the fact was, because there were no funds designated for registered charities,
right,
there were no funds paid out.
Right. So it was a very direct allegation, and obviously that's what you probably looked at. And there was no way for you to even imagine that there was, taxpayers' money being somehow got around to the gala. And I don't expect you to have figured that out. I don't. And I think that's something that the audit will cover when we do the audit, how this happened, because from my understanding, so when you do your investigation, and like I said, I don't want to know your trade secret, do you simply just, do you just go up to the person and say, it's been alleged that you did this, what do you got to say about it? And if they say, no way, I have no charities.
I spoke to the city treasurer on that one.
Okay. So there was no charities. So you said, okay,
no
fine.
charities.
Okay.
And the complaint was these people that use monies specifically out of monies designated for registered charities.
Okay.
There were no registered charities, therefore there were no monies that were paid out.
So would it be possible, and I don't know whether it's legal or not, but when you report to us, is it possible to put in your report exactly the complaint?
No, I can't do the exact complaint. I give you a summary. These are fairly large summaries.
Right. So you cannot give us that. That's confidential.
Well, it's not confidential. The legislation provides what I have to give you.
Okay.
It'll take me a minute just to...
So you have to work within the legislation then?
Oh, I must always work within the legislation.
Yeah. Okay. Well, okay, Mr. Cameron, I believe you. You don't have to go through that. And as I said, I'm sure that the audit will come up with an answer for us for that. So thank you again. Thank you. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
A question of the delegation today, if we're on the staff report now. Well, I know Councillor Miles has moved forward an amendment to it, and I have an amendment that I've given to the clerk as well that I'd like to speak to.
Let's do the first one. I think it's the easy one.
Okay, the easy one.
Dare I say that? Moved by Councillor Hames and Pellechy that the delegations, we should remove Alan Stitt's name, be received, and the correspondence be received. All those in favor? Good. Okay, and the next one, I3-1, moved by Councillor Hames and Miles that the report be received. This is the transmittal of the annual report, and 2 is as printed in your report. All those in favor?
No, that's what I'm
okay,
amending,
sorry.
Madam Mayor.
Well, my amendment should cover both for the...
Well, okay, this is all...
Yours is an addition to this, really?
So, part 3 of this I3-1, that the newly elected council be provided a protocol process and consider any revisions that best suit the council's needs. So are you adding something before the newly elected council to say that today staff be requested to review the appropriateness of a fee, including appropriate benchmarking for persons filing a complaint, etc. Is that what you're saying, that staff look at that now? Does that make sense? So this is no commencement of a fee, it's seeing what others are doing. And this is with respect to the $200,000 that has been spent on and there's been, have not found any inappropriate breach of conduct. Therefore, be it resolved that. And that's moved by Counselor Miles, seconded by Counselor Haynes. All those in favor? That's carried. Okay, now help me where this sort of is an additional into this, okay? So before we get to that one, are we dealing with this top or the bottom?
The bottom, I'm sorry, I had drafted some amendments that I thought would all be incorporated into I-1-1, but when we brought forward I-3-1, excuse me, I had to split it because one would impact on the other.
So, okay, I'm trying to understand, okay, wait a second, this, let me put these
It's the
side
bottom two, Madam Mayor.
Okay, so this
And I'd like to
today
speak to it.
says that the Ontario Office of the
No, no.
Integrity Commissioner, the new protocol. Okay, now you're saying that staff be directed to issue an RFP for services of the Office of the Integrity Commissioner concurrent with the forensic audit.
Correct.
So we have a current contract with the Office of ADR, and you're saying that we need to suspend that?
Well, I'd like to speak to it, Madam Mayor,
Okay,
if I can, please.
Sure, over to you.
And that's what, and the second part of that is, will explain my question to ADR Chambers. First, I want to say, it's interesting that we find ourselves having a conversation about the cost and the process and whatnot for the Office of the Integrity Commissioner back in 2009, when everybody got in a big kerfuffle around here because I put forward a motion to establish an accountability and transparency committee to investigate whether or not having an Office of the Integrity Commissioner would be appropriate. And my intent at that time, before everybody got in a flap, was to establish a committee so we could, with citizens on it, so that everybody could understand what they were voting on, what the cost might be, what the scope of it might be, and so on. That was my intent. Back in 2009, it was never, it wasn't a motion to charge forward and hire an integrity commissioner, simply look at it. The legislation amendments to the Municipal Act in 2007 facilitated that, and I just thought it was appropriate that we look at it, investigate it, establish a committee, and report back to council with recommendations or not to move forward. But we are where we are today. And in 2011, when we hired ADR Chambers, and this is no reflection on you, Mr. Cameron, but we have never issued an RFP for the services of an Office of the Integrity Commissioner. We have a general policy around here that anything over $50,000 a year, we issue an RFP. This is a circumstance where we have an average cost over the 2 years of $100,000, and I think it's appropriate that we go through the process in the interest of transparency. There may be others out there who would like to have an opportunity to present to the city what they might have to offer to us. In addition to that, and I know, Mr. Chambers, your office has investigated some complaints related to expenses, particularly around any findings or not of the forensic audit. The recommendation in I-1-1 is that anything that is appropriate coming out of the forensic audit that may or may not be a breach of the Code of Conduct would be forward to the Integrity Commissioner and or the Office of the Integrity Commissioner. And I think that in the interest of perhaps some fresh eyes looking at matters related to expenses would not necessarily be a bad thing. I'm not suggesting, if you are the successful respondent, that you wouldn't apply those fresh eyes to it. But I do think, in the interest of transparency, in the interest of the fact that we've never issued an RFP for a significant cost item in our budget, that now is the time when we issue an RFP for the services of an Office of the Integrity Commissioner, and that's what the motion is before us. The second that I put before council, the second part of the amendment is that ADR Chambers be instructed to suspend or stay, whatever term you want to use, any complaints that you have before you, and prepare the files in the event that they need to be handed off, or they may stay with you, and that the complainant that you would in any event have to stay or suspend because you would be waiting for the results of the forensic audit, that now might be the moment in time when we do that. And that's why I was asking you, did you have any complaints before you? And I guess that's kind of a difficult question
Well,
to, well, what it does is makes it awkward then for the second part of my motion. And perhaps I could amend it to say that all complaints related to counselors' expenses that may be impacted by the findings of the forensic audit be suspended.
you'd have to tell me what the forensic audit is about. I mean, give me a copy of your resolution as to,
Well, we haven't dealt with the report yet. That's the
well,
awkwardness of this.
all right. But once you've dealt with it, could you let me have a copy? Then I will say to you, I will not invest a complaint that is
Okay.
already being investigated by a group of auditors. Why have two investigations? I will not investigate any further a complaint that is subject to an
To the terms of
the
reference.
terms
And actually,
of
I
the
think
audit.
staff can probably provide you with a copy of the report and the suggested or recommended terms of reference, at least as it is now prior to the debate.
Well,
So,
okay.
okay. Then what I will do, Madam Mayor, is I will simply put forward the amendment that says that we issue an RFP. The matter related to any complaints that you may have, I would leave that to staff to determine the appropriateness of any of those that may relate to expenses or the forensic audit.
Concur. Are you seeking an RFP for the Integrity Commissioner firm that's going to review the results of the forensic audit? And if it's
No,
ADR, are you seeking a new Integrity Commissioner? Or are you seeking
No, I'm seeking
an
a
RFP?
process. I'm seeking a process, issue an RFP to acquire, I'm suggesting that the process of the RFP be concurrent with the forensic audit, not necessarily that it is exclusive to the findings of
Okay.
the
So
forensic
because
audit.
this says concurrent with, so that's just
Well,
timing?
I'm talking about the process, that staff be directed to issue an RFP concurrent with the forensic audit. I'm just saying that the two should,
I'm gonna ask the city manager, because
Okay.
what we're
Well, and I
saying
did
is,
speak with the
in the
city manager,
absence,
so
well,
about this
yeah, but that's
priorly.
the courtesy, I haven't, but I'm in the chair trying to steer the meeting. So, just to get the process down, we have an integrity commissioner, presently under contract. First year was, I think it was a one-year review, and then after that, this council, provided, I'm not sure the words because I don't have that here. And today, we're saying whatever we said, maybe it was open-ended, you could explain, and you want to put a process in place so ADR and others could say, we'd like to respond, and then we would reselect or reappoint either ADR or someone new based on knowing we have the best cost and service. Is that what we're trying to do?
Absolutely. But I guess normally your contract would expire June 2014.
No, actually.
So
The
our
recommend-
contract, as I understand it, after last year, goes for 5 years, from June 2013 to June 2018, or whatever. We have signed a contract, as I understand it. And I don't see how you can renege on that contract. If you didn't have a request
Okay,
for,
hold on, because the recommendation here is just suggesting that we retain your services till the end of 2014. So there's obviously,
Where's that, sir, where's
well, it
that?
says that they stay, that the complaint protocol and reporting process is currently in place for the duration of 2014. So I guess my interpretation of that was that,
That's not their contract.
okay, then I guess I need some clarity from staff, some confirmation of our relationship, contractual relationship. I wouldn't suggest in any way that we put this corporation at risk of having canceled a contract, if in fact we had a contract that took us to 2018.
Can I ask
I
something,
wasn't
just so we
aware of
can
that.
move through, because we have some other, the motion that's I3-1 is independent of this new piece. One doesn't replace the other. this is talking about the protocols for public accessibility and a new article that effective August 1st, and that the newly elected council be provided an overview of the process so they know. None of that is contradictory to what you're trying to do. I'm seeing if we can approve this today, and maybe this can be referred, your amendment can, or new motion, can be referred to staff, so we have the factual information in front of us.
Yes,
As it
please.
relates, does that make sense? Because we have our integrity commissioner here believing they signed a contract. Maybe that's not known by all of us, that I think we need to know all of that, don't we?
Well, I thought I had asked that
I-
question, so.
I don't know whether there is or not, but my understanding was that we did it 1 year on an interim basis and then for 5 years on a 5-year basis. If I am wrong, I'm wrong. But I
Well,
think
and I
they should.
don't know if you're
No.
wrong
I
until
think
somebody
yours-
asks
I
a
think
question.
your staff
I
should
would-
look at what the situation is.
Absolutely, but to
Yeah.
be clear, I would not have put forward a motion if I had believed or understood that we had a contract with you for 20, till 2018.
Recommendation two says we don't,
Yep.
he says,
So I think Chief Simmons may want to comment on that, but through you, Madam Mayor, recommendation two, if you read it, is continue with the complaint protocol and process in 2014, subject to the following amendments.
No, I'm sorry, it says the council continue to use the existing Office of the Integrity Commissioner.
Complaint-
Protocol,
Complaint
protocol.
Complaint
protocol
pro-
No,
and
it's the-
reporting
So
process.
why would we use any other Office of the Integrity Commissioner, so.
But no, Counselor, it's saying
I
we want to
understand- I
continue with
understand
the
what it is.
protocol with the following 2 changes. This is just preamble. We're going to stay with our protocol, but
Okay.
subject to 2 changes,
Then
A
I would
and
ask
B.
that staff report back on our
Okay.
contractual agreement
That's-
arrangement with ADR Chambers.
That's better.
And to be clear, the purpose of me putting this forward is that we have never put forward an RFP. This is a significant
Okay.
cost item, and in terms of value for, it was
Fair.
just simply renewed.
Fair,
So
but
that's fine.
I just want to be clear that point number 2 is we continue to use the existing OIC complaint protocol and reporting processes. It has nothing to do with our selection.
Thank you.
So could we vote on this motion? Council? All in
Subject to
favor?
the, as amended.
Well, as amended was the Councillor Morse. All those in favor of this
Yes,
motion? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, okay. That part's done. Now, I'm going to take this, do you want this as direction? That staff be
Yeah,
directed to issue an, well, no, I think you want to refer this to staff.
Absolutely.
Okay, I think we won't even table those words to all staff. It's
Well, we
obvious-
can put it as a notice of motion, I guess, if that's an appropriate way to
Well,
get it
I
to a
think what-
committee of council.
I think
for
what we're
discussion.
asking for is the homework. Do you have a signed contract? And in the event you want to put a different process in front of that, what does it cost to break said contract, to put
Yeah.
out an RFP, to maybe retain
Thank
the
you.
same people?
Thank you. I would just ask staff to, with,
Okay,
I
so
mean,
there's no
council's
resolution.
indulgence, to report back with,
Thank you.
Madam
so we
Mayor,
have
if
the
I-
facts in front of us.
Madam Mayor, if I could, staff would find it helpful if there be a motion from council giving that direction. If not, for the simple matter, so we can avoid this discussion in the future.
Thank you.
So
I will
direction
move a
from this
motion.
council through a motion.
So you want a
Thank you.
motion
For
that
that-
that staff bring back to committee or council? You decide, you
Committee of
decide.
council.
It'll be a committee of council.
On the present arrangement with ADR Chambers with a view to introducing an RFP process for the retention of Brampton's
Yes.
OIC as soon as this current contract is concluded. Or maybe you don't want to put those words in because,
To you, Madam Mayor, we would like to bring that information back with some discussion around the
So it's
alternatives that
simple.
council's
I'll move a
interested in.
motion, Madam Mayor, if Peter's writing that staff be directed to report to the next committee of council meeting
the
the details around our contractual agreement or arrangement with
there you
ADR
are.
Chambers. Thank you.
Okay, is that a motion?
It
Moved
is.
by Counselor Moore, seconded by Counselor Gibson. All those in favor that staff would, good, okay, that's good, that's carried. Sorry, Counselor Miles and Counselor Sporvieri, did you want to speak to that motion? Because we've just completed all the motions on this section of the agenda. Are you off? Counselor Sporvieri,
Actually, I had another question.
go ahead.
Cameron. is that irregular? Just a clarification question I was, wanted to find out.
Go ahead.
Or if it was from a law and order sheet.
Okay. Okay, Mr. Cameron, the more I think about this, the more things come to my mind. Now, I'm still not, I did say that, this issue that I talked about can go to the, the audit but maybe not. We may not be able actually to be able to deal with it in the audit because the audit is pretty specific. It says that, just, investigating members of council only, mayor, member of council, so staff is not, part of this investigation. So the question I have to you is that, if the complaint had been worded differently, if the complainant had said, oh, and let's say that there is no policy that allows,
Well, I can't cut him off, Counselor, because I'm the focus of the attack, and I don't want to be accused of trying to,
thank you,
not
thank you,
have the
Mayor.
attack,
It's
so.
good to get everything cleared up, everything.
We have cleared it up, Counselor.
No,
We've
no.
referred all these matters to an integrity commissioner.
hold
It's
on,
all
hold on.
been cleared, and now
It
you
was-
want a new integrity commissioner.
No, it was, the wording
Very
was.
clear to me.
It was just the wrong wording. I think that if the wording is wrong in a complaint, then obviously it's gonna steer the commissioner in a different direction. So the wording has to be right. It's almost like a combination lock. You gotta get
Yes,
the right
it's called
text.
guilty, not guilty. It was a
So-
not guilty, no
no,
wrongdoing,
that's
so
because
let's find
that's
a new
because-
way until you can
that's
get the mayor.
because-
Let's get the mayor. You're
That's
all on one
because,
team. Let's
that's
get the mayor.
because he looked at,
Good.
at a different matter.
Get back to work.
That's because he looked at a different, in a different angle.
That's your.
If the angle had been, if the complaint had been,
You're saying if, you're saying if.
yeah, so can I put another complaint in related to that, or is that
You may
over?
put in a complaint if
In
you
a
want.
different matter.
Point of order being asked.
Okay, who's the point of order?
Point of order comes first.
Who's asking?
Counselor
Oh, I
Miles.
didn't hear you, sorry, gal, I
Oh,
didn't hear.
you don't listen.
Point of order
Do you have your mic on?
I don't know. Yes. I'm standing on a point of order. This line of questioning is inappropriate. You can't ask the justice what might have been or could have been. It
Well-
was what it was. He made his determination, and that's the end of it.
Yeah,
And
but-
we are wasting our time. It's, on a point of order, it's inappropriate, and I would ask the chair to rule that the line of questioning is inappropriate, and let us get on with our agenda.
Well, I would like to get on with the business of council for
Thank you.
2014, and we're
Please,
spending
I
hours
need a
talking
ruling
about
on
5 years
on
ago.
my point of
Well, I still
order.
have the question.
I need a
yeah.
ruling on my point of order,
I'm
Counselor.
ruling that Counselor Miles is correct.
What's
Thank you.
correct? That I can't ask the question?
Yes.
Yes.
It's inappropriate.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, Mr.
Thank
Cameron.
you. Mr. Cameron, Justice Cameron, thank you for being here today, and thank you for being our integrity commissioner.
And thank you
If
for
we
your
do-
patience today,
Thank you, it's been an interesting experience.
and I bet it is.
There you go.
It made my day.
This is suspiciously the type of Michael Todd. I think that's why we all met for breakfast at the Riverstone. Very good. No, there isn't. I wouldn't be hanging around somebody that we've had to remove. That's right, Counselor Gibson. Let's focus on the business of this city. I'm sure you want to. Council, we're going to the next item on the agenda. We do have a delegation. Mr. Birdie is here to speak to us on the next matter. This is the matter of the terms of reference for the forensic audit. Mr. Do we have a presentation or anything? No? Okay, Mr. Birdie, would you like to come forward? Thank you.
Good afternoon. Hello, Madam Mayor, council members, city staff, and fellow residents. There are a few here. I just want to remind you that about the fact that the very special item of forensic audit is, is discussing everywhere in the newspapers, in the TVs, on the radios, everywhere they talk about forensic audit. I just want to recall all the city council know that in November 19, 2013, a motion was introduced in the council meeting regarding spending of budget by mayor and city council members, and it was passed unanimously that a third-party forensic audit will be conducted. You all know that. This was very clear and very good decision, and everybody was in support of that. I attended and watched the budget deliberation meetings in December 2013. There were discussions about almost every day about mayor spending and council spending. I was feeling that why the council was discussing the same issues every day and throwing stones on each other when that time could have been spent on betterment of services for residents and some other development issues of the city. I also watched that there were some motions presented by some of the council members, and some motions have been passed after needed discussion on the issues. But same issues were being discussed again and again every day, even after approval of the motions put on the table from the very beginning. Just want to comment on that. Why there was a waste of time, energy, and taxpayers' money by revisiting the same issues again and again, and the same thing happening today. Now the issue in hand is about today's meeting. I heard from the radio and from some newspapers and from statements of our officials, there's an estimation of spending about $100,000 to $200,000 for this forensic audit. Fine, because council agreed on that, and it's agreed on unanimously, and the council should go for it. It's okay. But the big question is, if somebody is found guilty for unapproved and unlawful spending of budget or spending of taxpayers' money, then what will be the accountability for him or her? Is there any provision in the law that the guilty will be punished with such and such terms and conditions? If there is no terms and conditions for the guilty, then what is the purpose of spending such a big amount of taxpayers' money just to fulfill the desire of few members and or to corner some members of a council, to corner them from the elections? I'm sorry, I don't want to use this word, but this is true. Now I want to suggest that if any member of the council, including mayor, found guilty of misusing the taxpayers' money and or violating any laws or bylaws of the city regarding spending of budget, she should resign from the current position immediately, and if possible, she should be prohibited from election process to run for any post in the coming elections. The second is, if any member of the city staff found guilty for violating any laws or bylaws, because most of the time we put the burden on the staff members that they did not tell us, they did not recommend us. If the staff member found guilty, she should also relieved from the current position with immediate effect. Number 3, if there is no provision of any accountability for any kind of overspending or violation of laws or bylaws, then I want to request the city council to put forward a motion to introduce some positive and effective bylaw to stop this kind of unlawful activities, so that we can save valuable time, energy of the council, and taxpayers' money in future. If we can do this, then there is no point of spending a large portion of taxpayers' money for this audit just to find out who did what, and without finalizing the punishment for the individual who is responsible for all this wastage of time and energy of the taxpayers' money. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Birdie, for coming, and I appreciate your comments. Just a question, are you, and I don't know whether, we'll see if staff can answer your question about, what are the consequences. But you mentioned that staff should also be looked at. Are you proposing that, because this, right, what we have before us, it's only recommending that the mayor and members of council be looked at.
Yeah.
It doesn't say anything about the staff being looked at. For instance, so are you suggesting that it should be also, if members of council have or the public have a suspicion that there was some wrongdoing, was staff wrongdoing, that they should also be looked at? Is that what you're suggesting?
Whatever I have watched here, whatever I have experienced here by sitting in the budget deliberation meetings, not even budget deliberation meeting, even old meetings also, when there was any accusation on anybody, all the time you call the city staff that he have to give the answers. When those people also giving the answers, you again some people are accusing them that you are not giving correct information. It means there's something, some lag between the staff and the council members. Somebody is responsible for that. If council member or mayor is not responsible for that, then there should be somebody who is responsible for all this wrongdoings. That's what I recommend, that if you are going for forensic audit and they found that some city staff member is guilty for this, he did not recommend proper, and he did not suggest the council or mayor in right way, he suggests any council that is not a good idea to spend money like this way, then he also should be responsible for the same thing. That's what I want to say.
I understand your point. Yeah. So, and I guess, I don't know whether staff can reply as to what the consequences are in this process.
Madam Mayor, council's governed and staff are governed by two separate codes of conduct. So this terms of reference is specifically around the council code of conduct and specific terms under the terms of reference for expenses of the mayor and members of city council. It does not include staff. If through the course of the forensic audit there's an indication theoretically that there's a connection, that will come to light, and as the chief administrative officer, I have an obligation to deal with it.
Okay, so what about the consequences of if any of us wrongly spend our funds? Mr. Birdie is saying if there's no consequences, then why spend the money? And which I agree with him. So what are the consequences?
Consequences would be your code of conduct would kick into place, and a potential for complaint to an integrity commissioner at bare minimum, and if there's more serious consequences or serious allegations beyond a code of conduct, then there'll be other vehicles to pursue.
Well,
but we don't know till the audit's done and the findings are known, what the avenues would be to pursue a remedy.
So Mr. Birdie's asking for us to include in this process that if there is some serious contravention of spending our funds, that there should be some consequences.
And I think that there are mechanisms in place to address that right now,
That's why it
including
goes
your
to the
code of
integrity
conduct and integrity commissioner. And if there's something beyond that that's more serious, there are established processes to deal with that.
Like criminal or?
Whatever, I'm not going to presuppose anything, but
Well,
there
Mr.
are
Birdie's
processes
asking
to
the
do.
question.
I know,
You're the one that's
but I
asking.
do not want to presuppose,
Yeah.
I'm not going to presuppose a conclusion.
Right.
You have asked for a forensic audit.
Right.
Here's the terms of reference for a forensic audit. Get the results and see what is identified, and then you decide how to deal with it.
We decide.
Exactly.
With public input?
That's again presupposing. I don't know what the audit's going to reveal. So I think if you want to take the step of the audit, follow through with it, and the results will become known, and there's follow-up consequences and remedies to be followed if there's anything to be found.
Are you happy with that, Mr. Bird?
After your discussion,
I'm done. He's my constituent, so I gotta look after his,
I'm listening what you are discussing between.
Yeah, I'm
yourself.
done asking the question. I think he just gives an answer and.
In this case, even before that, if you look at any history of any council or something, if this kind of audit we are, looking forward, I don't think so anything is going to come out. And not me, even most of the people out of, from City Hall, most of the people, they are thinking that nothing is going to come out. Is all a messy game. I'm sorry for my wording. Is all a messy game. Why all this happening? How many times I remember I have note with me, more than 15 times we discuss the same issues. 15 times, and we have spent more than 22 hours on the same issue. And today again, I am looking at the same thing. That's really bothering me that it's my money which you are sitting
And
here
all
and
the
you're
staff
wasting my
time.
money.
You're right.
No.
That's why I'm concerned about all
We
this.
would be paid the same regardless whether here or sitting at home, Mr. Birdie.
No,
Yeah.
Counselor, please don't
we are
debate the
paying
delegation.
you people. I'm again sorry. We are paying you people to do something good for our city, and this is not going good for our city.
Thank you, Mr. Birdie, and I think Councillor Sprovier, that's the end of your question. I think it's clear that when we're having discussions here, we have a lot of staff here, we have a lot of reports, we're a busy and growing city, and if we weren't here as long as we are, our staff could be working, we could all be working on the business of the city. I have a question, thank you. In the terms of reference, it's been asked of me, will this, my name's on the board even, yes, it is. I have the report forward in all of the matters, yes? The report's here. Oh, thank you. There's been, okay, do you all want to speak to this report too? I wanted to ask that people have asked me, since we're looking into the cost to a taxpayer for a person sitting at this table, regardless of where they sit, will we be instructing the auditor to follow the dotted lines for costs incurred at the Region of Peel, because several members of this council are able to rack up their travel over at the Region of Peel or promotional items, and I think it should include the cost to taxpayers for members of council. That's, I think, the purpose of this. Secondly, in the terms of reference, will the forensic auditor be reviewing all per diems that have been withdrawn by any member of council and making sure that's in compliance with the policy for the appropriate paperwork and number of days per diems have been charged in accordance with the policy? Will it look at per diems?
Madam Mayor, that is covered by the terms of reference.
Thank you very much. I think that's very important because it's been asked of me, and by being I think those are important questions. We have other questions that are specific to the use of corporate resources that have been used by the express direction of any member of council. This report will include that use of corporate resources for moving city goods that would normally have a process where the process has not been used and it's been outside of the boundaries. This forensic audit will identify every time that's happened.
That's included in the terms of reference, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. So if we're, and it will also review, when is the date where the audit is starting?
The terms of reference suggest the term of this council.
So it would include right up
December
until
1st, 2010
today, or it
till
will include up until
January 31st, 2014.
2014. So it will include the commencement of the election, for example, on January 1st, and the use of any corporate resources for any member of council that would be using City of Brampton resources for their own personal election. It would include those
Up to January
contraventions.
31st, 2014. That's correct.
Thank you, and I just want to make sure it's going to also look at all of the fees when there's councillors who are traveling outside of city policy. For example, when a councillor would choose to attend, it's outside of the city policy and there's no official role. For example, the economic development policy for our international trade missions is quite clear. It says mayor, head of economic development, and a member of council. So if another member of council goes, that would be clearly outside of policy. It doesn't mean, it means not taxpayers' money, not you tuck it into a different account. Would it cover all of that?
That's true, Mr.
And so I would suggest that in the terms of reference, as Mr. Birdie has alluded to, if there are irregularities found, I wouldn't call even irregularities. If there are violations found, I would ask this council to support a motion that pen to check and the respective member of council pay it back. Because that way there's the proper, you know, if you go into a store and the price tag changes, you go back to the store, you demand your money back. Well, the taxpayers are demanding their money back if there's been an impropriety, and to me that's what makes this worth doing. For the cost you're spending, pay it back. If there's a violation, we're all given tools to do the job, and if you can defend that you spent your money doing what you believed was important in your role as a councillor, myself as mayor, then that's the forensic audit is there for, with the appropriate policies. But when there is conduct outside of the policy, if there is, then I say it should be paid back. That should be the direction of this council. In fact, I'd make it a motion. pay it back, and it has to be paid back within 48 hours of discovery, not at some later, pardon? Sure, whatever. Yeah, you don't get to tuck it in some other account. So those conclude my questions. And I've been assured it does include the regional activity, the region travel activity, and the use of per diems. And I want it summarized and concluded, the additional monies when people, for example, register to a conference. Will the forensic audit, they do pay a conference registration fee. It's a 5-day conference. Will the forensic audit review if they in fact attended for the 5 days or perhaps just one night? Was that good value for taxpayers? Is that a breach, or would that be considered an irregularity?
Through you, Madam Mayor, I don't think that this terms of reference would extend into attendance of conference in terms of days attended versus their registration.
But
That's not within this terms of reference.
Well, maybe I'd like then to add it to the terms of reference, because I think it is somewhat relevant if we register to a conference to get to a city to do some sightseeing with our spouse the day before and after, and come home and only stay 24 hours. You spent $500 in registration, you stayed at a 5-star hotel, and you really didn't participate in the conference. I think the public would want to know that, and you should pay it back. Can I add that, please, to that these terms of reference include where there have been conferences attended, that it's not hard to do, you see, because the per diem will tell you when they went, or the airplane ticket will tell you when they went and came back. So if there's a 5-day conference, if there's a health matter or something, you have to come back, but otherwise, you can't use a conference to get to a vacation. That's not on. Thank you, if that could be added. Councillor Moore.
I would like to move an amendment to the recommendation that's before us, and then I'd like to ask some questions of the city manager for clarification, as you have done. My first amendment, actually, I thought maybe you'd had it in time to perhaps put up on the board. No, I thought, in any event, I will read it for you. It's simply that the scope of the forensic audit include all expenses from January 2008 to December 2013 inclusive. The purpose being to compare 3 years of expenses under the previous rules-based policy with oversight and 3 years under the February 21st approved code of conduct and values-based expense policy. Right now, there's a debate going on between whether Mississauga's rules-based policy is better or Brampton's values-based policy. I think this gives an at-home snapshot of 3 years under the old policy and 3 years under the new, and maybe we move forward with something that is a hybrid of the two of them. But I think it gives us a good example, or a good amount of data that will show a comparison between those. And the second amendment I'd like to move is that the forensic auditor complete the work and report to council no later than June the 30th, and that the forensic auditor's report be presented to council in public. I'm sure it would be anyways, unless there were things that were perhaps an identifiable individual that would be dealt with under a different, under something different. If it was, I'm not going to say it was staff, but it could, if there was a reason that it had to be in camera, obviously we would deal with it there. But I think it's important that this be done as quickly as possible. I think it needs to be done well in advance of the next election, so that everybody can make an informed decision come October. To have it appear sometime through the summer when people are distracted with summer holidays and things like that, I think is not fair and not respectful of the taxpayers. So I'm moving that the scope of the audit be changed from January 2008 to December 2013, and that, actually I hear now that it's going to be January 30th, 2014, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, that's fine, then I'll change that.
January 31st, 2014.
Yeah, January 31st, 14, that's correct. Okay, so those are the amendments. I do. No, I'm sorry, it's got to go beyond that. Go beyond what? today. I don't care what date you make it. I just want it to be appropriately reflected in the motion that I've put forward, Madam Mayor. So,
Yep, you can do
sorry?
that. Sorry.
Okay. And for questions of clarification to the city manager, and I know that you, in the terms of reference, you have said that as an initial part, members of council and the mayor will be able to identify their issues and concerns. But does that preclude, through those interviews, whether or not the forensic auditor can speak with any staff in any department or look at any departmental budget that may have arisen as a concern
I
through
think
those
that would
interviews?
be a natural extension of the work if through a line of questioning, if it led to other corporate records, then the auditor would be able to look at those corporate records.
Okay, and our staff will be instructed to cooperate
Exactly,
fully with that. So I was going to amend it to include interviews with
Yep.
other staff, but if you're suggesting that it would be a natural, I guess,
Extension of
part
that
of the
work.
extension of
If
the
they
work
had
that
to
they do,
validate
that, you
an
know.
issue or a fact through an interview with staff or looking at corporate records, they naturally would have to do that in the conduct of the audit.
So if, for example, some concerns raised led to concerns around, finances being paid out of other departmental budgets, it would cover that.
That would be
Okay.
something
I
that I'm
just-
sure the auditor would follow up on.
Okay, great, thank you. The other question I have, I just want to confirm that our current auditor of record, KPMG, will not be conducting this. In Ajax, they had, I think it was Deloitte Touche, do a forensic audit. They were their auditor of record, and it was seen very much
I
as a
think that's
conflict of interest.
We will be going through a competitive selection process in any respect.
Okay. I would also like to suggest, and the concern I have with any of the large firms that could, in fact, be an auditor of record for the city of Brampton simply because they have the capacity to do that, I don't know whether we can preclude them from being part of the RFP, but it would make, well, I'm not sure we can't do that.
What if they never become an auditor for the city? So they're being penalized, they can't do an audit if we don't, someday we don't hire them. You're saying all the large firms, we can't do this.
I'm just suggesting that one of the large firms may see this as an opportunity to gain business with the city of Brampton. Okay, okay, that's fine. I'm asking the question, it's simply a question I'm asking, so.
Are you asking for an RFP process for
No.
this so that we don't come back a year later and say, we did sole source? Like
No, I'm not asking
Not
that.
sole
I'm asking,
sourcing.
this is, I think in the interest of time and moving this forward, we have the authority, or staff have the authority under the procurement bylaw, when appropriate, to sole source. So
We won't be sole sourcing this project.
you're not sole sourcing this. That wasn't a suggestion. So I don't know why you said that, Madam Mayor, but anyways. There are, if I have the floor, Madam Mayor, please, this would go a lot faster today if we just had an opportunity to ask our questions without interruption. I'm not moving any more amendments, they've been put before you, just the two, but I'm getting some questions of clarification. I've made a number of phone calls. I think that the 100 to 200,000 is probably a little high. If it's at the 200,000, then I hate to think about what kind of things might be uncovered. I think that, I think it was wise for you to put the 1 to 200,000 in there as a way to, as a bit of perhaps of a reality check for us, but there are a number of smaller boutique firms out there who specialize in forensics. Their rates are not as high as the larger firms, and I guess that will be either proofed out or not through the RFP process. So those are my only questions, Madam Mayor, and the two motions that amendments that I've put before you. Thank you.
Councillor Miles.
First off, I don't think the city of Brampton has the ability to vote on a motion to do a forensic audit on regional spending. I think it's a totally separate corporation, totally separate job. It would have to be something that was passed by regional council, and I think it would have to be something that is done for all members of regional council. I don't think we have the ability as members of Brampton Council to order a forensic audit on I don't believe that we have the right to ask that at the region of Peel. Secondly, I do think it should be an RFP. Thirdly, I'd like to ask, I don't know who the best person to ask is what does a forensic audit mean? Okay, so here's in terms of,
Ask the
I'm,
mover.
who?
Ask the mover, he asked for it.
Well, I would like to ask one of our staff persons, or who can answer the question, what is a forensic audit? What does this mean? What does this mean?
I will make a stab at it, and our internal auditor's in the audience, and if I miss something,
Catherine, come on
she can
down,
chime in.
please. No, come on down here.
I will try to make it as simple as I can from what I understand and my knowledge. There's a compliance audit, which is basically looking at a set of policies or rules and whether individuals or processes acted in accordance with those basic rules and policies. And then a forensic audit goes much deeper in that it says you may have indicate some certain compliance with those rules and restrictions, but there might have been some irregularities in the way an invoice or receipt was processed, so they follow that audit trail a little bit deeper. It could be far more extensive than just a blank check to say basic policy has been adhered to. It can follow records deeper into the corporation or into individuals to ensure that things were done correctly and properly. So forensic audit by nature is far more detailed, far more rigorous, and look at all aspects of the issues in terms of in accordance with the terms of reference.
Okay, so I'm going to direct my question through you, Madam Mayor, to Catherine. Do you mind coming forward? Okay, so you're doing a forensic audit on me. I'm registered to go to a conference. It's a conference that's related with the work that I do in the municipality. So conference registration is set by the conference people, right? So a requisition goes through and a check is issued by the municipality and it's sent to the conference and I'm registered. So sometimes hotel's included, sometimes it's not. So I go to the hotel and I register and I pay with my Visa card, my hotel accommodation. And we know the rules. You're allowed to go one day before, and if it ends late at night, you stay overnight, and then you go back, right? So you know the date of the conference, and you know the hotel accommodation because you have a bill, right? And so you get my bill. And we're allowed a per diem, so much money a day, and it covers anything that you might spend, right? So I apply for my per diem and I get the funds and away I go to the conference, right? So you have the registration, you have my hotel bill, and you have a request for a per diem which is set by a policy by the municipality. What do you do with that on a forensic audit?
Got it, through you, Madam Chair. There's two parts, and the CAO is correct. The first part is more of a compliance audit, but it's far more in depth. The second part of a forensic audit is also ensuring that the paperwork is in good order if there is any further steps that need to be taken. What I would do with your information, or the forensic auditor will do with that information, they will confirm that that particular conference follows the policy in effect at the time. So was it approved by the appropriate body, whether it's council or it's within the travel policy itself?
So our basic travel policy at the City of Brampton says we're allowed to attend conferences. At the Region of Peel, we get a list of approved conferences. Here we don't. But most of the conferences I think that anybody you'll find has gone in is FCM, AMO, or something related
Well,
to.
Making Cities Livable is a conference in California and Europe. Several members of council have gone to that sightseeing conference, and that needs to be shown, has no value.
Well,
So
making
I've never gone.
Making Cities Livable, I don't know that anybody's gone to that And if you look at our lists of, go through all your lists. $100 went to the Rotary Club. $150 went to the Cardinal Newman School to support their fudge campaign. We might have went on a golf tournament, or we might have bought tickets for a golf tournament. Brampton Safe City Golf Tournament, 4 tickets. What's the forensic auditor gonna do? Go find out who went on the golf tournament with me? I can tell them who went. Is he gonna phone them and make sure that they were there? And are we gonna pay thousands of dollars for this?
For you, Madam Chair, what the forensic auditor will do is it's a far more in-depth audit. So they will, if they have to, they will call the school, Cardinal Newman, to make sure the donation was made. If they will not look at who you went to the conference with, because this audit is specifically about the mayor and members of council. But it will look at whether the per diem, there was other expenses, the same expenses covered on a per diem if they were claimed under a different avenue. It will uncover every little piece of paper, to be honest with you.
If there is other expenses claimed, it's there. It's on a long list.
And that needs to all be validated, so every
But
single
what I'm trying to
item.
ask you is what are they gonna do? If you, I'm using me, so I'm open.
Yep.
So, I bought an iPad for
Mhm.
business. Am I using it for business? Is that what they do?
Through your manager, they can, yes.
So,
And this is why a forensic audit is very expensive. They will go into every single piece of it, and every line
Why?
item, every single expense is
Why?
under this
we have
terms of reference.
We have every single expense receipt that we use. We took a taxi. Here's the receipt.
And
Right? I don't get it. I really, honestly, I don't get it.
it depends on
What's the forensic audit gonna do?
it depends also on what information is available, if they have to go further as well, but
Like
we're,
what?
it's a far more detailed audit.
I know you're telling me that.
Yeah.
I mean, our expenses,
Pardon me? It's not
No,
sampling,
so you
it's
can-
every single item.
but, okay, again, I'm going back to me. I got my list, my expense list today. I was looking through it. $30 to Staples.
So we would look, the auditor would look at what you bought at Staples, whether it was.
You have a receipt.
Yeah, and we'll look for the receipt, we'll look at
But
what
we-
it was purchased, whether it was for business or personal. That would be,
But the receipt says, it's a Staples receipt. It says on it what it was purchased for.
Right.
And we're gonna pay the auditor to look at that. We're gonna pay $200,000 or $300,000 for them to look at members of council spending when we already have so much oversight. For members of the public who may be watching, anytime we have an expense as a member of council, we have to have a receipt. So, for instance, if I have a business dinner, I'm not allowed to claim alcohol, but if I have a business dinner, I have to get a receipt. And on that receipt, I have to write who attended with me
That's right.
and why I went. So before I get anything reimbursed, I have to submit that receipt to the municipality with that information. So
That's right.
it's all receipted. If I claim, I mean, most of the fundraising donations that we give, everybody's given it, right? We get a piece, our protocol, our process has been, here's a big piece of paper, Linda McGinnis or one of our staff write it up and say, let's give some money, or we have a request for a donation for this particular community cause or this particular community cause. So members of council, we pass it around, and usually everybody, if one person says 50, everybody says 50, or once in a while, we'll give them 100, but it's not big amounts, right? But if you go over, and I'm looking at my list of spending for 3.5 years at the City of Brampton to audit my expenses of 33,000, and then whenever I went to AMO or FCM, is it gonna cost the municipality $50,000 to audit my expenses? Mr. Corbett?
Through you, Madam Mayor, what you're, simplifist term, you're asking for a third-party professional auditor to validate expense claims in accordance with the terms of reference, and yes, it is costly. But that's what council has directed staff to do, and we have the terms of reference here to put into motion council's direction.
Okay, so nobody's gone over budget. Every expense claim that any member of council, including the mayor, has spent has gone through the council-approved process, which means it's receipted, it's submitted, and it goes into the Treasury Department, it's recorded, and if the only thing is this new discretionary thing, and it's pretty blatant where there may have been something spent that shouldn't have been spent, but do you know what? I am totally open to question, to scrutiny on my budget, to where I've spent it. The Guardian has asked me, the Toronto Star has asked me, I've given them the information, and now we're gonna spend $200,000, and if we support Councillor Moore's motion, where we're gonna go back to 2008, which I think quite frankly is totally ridiculous to go back that far, because it's just gonna cost more money. Why? Why? We've been playing gotcha for 4 years. We have been trying to find something on a member of council to discredit them for 4 years. We're the laughing stock of the community, and in fact, of the whole GTA. Anybody that talks about Brampton in terms of what the heck is happening in Brampton. And you know what? Here we go again. We just looked at an integrity commissioner that was looking at complaints, the same kind of complaints that we've been dealing with, mostly in regards to the mayor's stepping out for Brampton and whatnot, has cost the taxpayers already $200,000 in integrity commissioner complaints, and nothing has been found. And now, council, here you are, you're ordering a forensic audit because you think maybe you're gonna find something. Well, everything is receipted, and it's just an absolute waste of taxpayers' money. An absolute waste. And it's not good enough to just look at this term. Councillor Moore wants us to go back to 2008 so you can do a comparison. Well, you can look at the numbers and do a comparison anyway. It's not a lot different, the spending. But this is all about, well, maybe we're gonna find something about a member of council that we can say gotcha. And it's, you know what? All of this. Well, it's not the only way, Councillor Moore, because you continue to accuse, members of council continue to accuse, and it doesn't matter how deep we go, you're still pointing your finger, and today was an excellent example of that. Especially with the integrity commissioner has done his investigations, a reputable company, he's filed his things with the city, and members of council are still challenging him like as if he doesn't know what he's doing. We're a complete embarrassment to this city. We have spent 4 years fighting instead of getting on with the business of the municipality, and we've achieved hardly anything. And you know what? If the members of this community wipe out every member of council, I don't blame them one bit, because our behavior has been absolutely ridiculous. And so let's just keep it going. Let's keep it going. Let's order this forensic audit. Any member of council can look, or any member of the public can go on and look at our statements and ask the question, why and what was that? Correct? We all got the binders. It's all being put going to be listed for the public, right? Anybody can come and ask, right? But we're gonna order a forensic audit and pay another 200,000 or maybe more for some auditing company to come in and do an in-depth audit of councillors' expenses that are exactly the same kind of expenses that members of council have incurred from the time that they were elected, because when we were elected, we were told that's your job. We were told that's your job. When we were elected to council, we were told your job is to go and support local charities. Here's your policy book, here's your policy manual, and here's your money that you can spend, and here's your guidelines. And we have lived by those. We've lived by those. But today, after everything is said and done, after all of these inquiries, out of all of this stuff in the paper, members of council again are going to waste taxpayers' money, in my mind, and do a forensic audit on, I don't know how much money it is. Members of council are given $60,000 a term. And nobody's over their budget, right? Nobody has spent over their budget. No, nobody spent over their budget. But we should do a forensic audit to make sure that, I don't know, what are you going to make sure? What are you going to find out about anybody in this forensic audit? I can tell you that there was a conference that I was registered for, and there was council business that I had to be there. So even though I had registered to go for 2 or 3 days, I had to fly in because I was a guest speaker, so I wasn't there the whole time. I can tell you that. I didn't do anything wrong. Anybody wants to ask me, I can tell them how come my hotel bill was only for 1 night when I was registered for 3. Do you not see how stupid this is? How absolutely ludicrous it is? Because you want to find something out that somebody did wrong. I don't know what you're going to find. And if you do find something, you know what? It's not going to be very much. I don't know what you'll find. It's not going to, but I can't imagine it's going to be very much. So, but we're going to spend a lot of money finding it out. So I give up. You know what? I think it's absolutely crazy that we continue down this path of trying to malign members of council and the mayor. You know what? It's election year. Councillor Sanderson, you put your name in. The mayor, she's got her name in. Let the public decide. What do you think? You're going to find something dirty on each other that maybe is going to help you win the election, but you know what? I think it's going to make the public even more disgusted with us than they already are. Anyway, I've said enough. I've said enough. I know, 20 minutes worth, and I could go on ad nauseum about how embarrassing we are.
Well, thank you, Councillor, for your comments. I'm next on the list, and I have been working very hard this term to move forward the business of council, and despite the contacting one certain media to create some stories, there are a lot of good stories, and our Zoom is a good story, and this council has actually, if you analyze the voting record, you know, you don't have to all get along, but you have to do your job, and the voting record of this council shows that 98% of votes are all unanimous around this table, so. No, you don't. So, you know, getting things done is about getting things done, and people can have disagreements on approaches, but I really urge us to spend a little more time on the substance of the agenda than turning back to 2008. I think that's double the cost and double the work and double, but you know, listen, it's clear to me who the target is. It's me, so you know, I'm not going to speak in favor or against. What I would say, as it relates to the region, there was a question. We can't compel and include the region, but we can certainly ask our auditors to simply request the information, and it would be provided. It's all available. if they can't get it with a simple request, maybe we could request and hand it to them, save a little money. If that's not doable, then maybe the Brampton Guardian will share their FOI with us, because I think they probably already have it. But I think the regional costs are there, and you can't sort of leave out that. It's not fair. Not all members of council have an additional place to do that. With respect to community groups, you're quite right. It's become quite dysfunctional, I have to tell you. Searching for a process, contrary to the headline in the paper that you cut my expenses, that's factually incorrect, that the mayor brought the budget here, removing the entire $60,000 of approved advertising, marketing, and promotion budget for the mayor, because you gave me the tool. If I'm going to be attacked for using the tool, then I said, take the tool, put it somewhere else. So we removed that from my budget, and when you were presented the budget from the office of the mayor, it was absent of the line item for $60,000 a year. You did not remove it. I did. I don't expect a correction in the Star. They don't fancy saying anything positive. However, it is appropriate. Let me talk about the substance I am dealing with right now. I could bring them to you, and I think I will. But right now, there's a regional school curling tournament. It happens in our curling club. Annually, it's there. You will look on the mayor's expenses included in that $60,000. There's a line item for $2,000 or $3,000 for curling. That is the city expense for the curling club. They have to have a place to make whole the city of Brampton costs. It's transferred to the office of the mayor. It goes under that $60,000. That is gone. So I guess I'll bring this here next week. It's estimated by our sports tourism, our economic development, that the visiting teams from all over leave approximately $100,000 to the local businesses. There is no tool because there are so many different requests come to mayor, members of council. They're not on a list. So in this case, we've just said, I'm sorry, that's not available. We've sent it over to corporate where it's supposed to go now, and it's not on their list. So we're saying, don't have the tournament here, or go somewhere else. That's not how we do business. So that's just one example. My final point, I think that we absolutely need an RFP. We can't just pick up the phone and hire some accounting firm that wants to come in and do the work. I think it has to be a credible company. It can be a short turnaround. But if we're going to do everything right, process is your friend. And our process for a procurement for a matter over $50,000 is an RFP. So I would highly recommend that we do an RFP. I will vote against shortcutting the forensic process. That's the most detailed process, delving into how and where you do things, and then we want to shortcut how we get there. Like, cut the shortcuts. If you want to do things in great detail, follow your own procurement. We don't just sole source or use some alternate process that's not competitive for a contract that's expected to start somewhere around $200,000. If you approve the amendment today for twice the distance, and the records are off-site, and it's extra staff time and so on, you're going to be well over $200,000, and you will guarantee, I would predict, you won't have your answers by May. So you can't add more and want it quickly. You can't shortcut this, folks. I've heard it's the only way. And as the mayor sitting in this chair the day that motion was introduced, and Councillor Sanderson, you were the mover of the motion. You did, and you passed it to me. The motion read, to my recollection, I hope I'm not wrong, that there be a forensic audit on members of council. And I said, are you sure you want to do that? You said, I am. City manager spoke to you. I said, are you sure you want to do that? I am. And I was about to take the vote, and you said, that should include the mayor. And I said, absolutely. And I wrote on the words, and the mayor. No problem there. But the Toronto Star said, council calls for a forensic audit on the mayor about her expenses. No, you called for a forensic audit on yourselves. And then only after double checking a few times, you said, that'll include the mayor too. Thank you. I don't have a problem with that. And then I added it on. But until that was done, the mayor wasn't even part of it. I think it was your intention to include the mayor, though. Well, that's right. But the headline that was propagated made it sound like to the world the council's so concerned they're doing a forensic audit of the mayor's expenses, and you just said it yourself, you called for the forensic audit to clear the air. I have no problem with that, but it is not the concern that the council have for the mayor. I think it's the concern that the public's saying, what the heck's going on over there? What the heck's going on? That's what I think. And frankly, Councillor Moore raised the most, Miles raised the most valid point today. You know, this is a lot of money, but if it's the only way to clear the air, clear the air. But I don't support going back pre-term, although I will tell you, I wrote the check for $3,030 because I said to a reporter, my office does not spend taxpayers' money buying first class or business class airfare. I said that. And then I went back through my records and I found the flight to Iqaluit, and we had booked a business class airfare. So I called the reporter back. I said, I have to be absolutely correct. I'm very keen about my integrity and my honesty. So therefore, I will pay that back. And I wrote the check the next day or two. It's already cleared the bank for all you bloggers out there. But I want you to know that that was the previous term of council. It was $3,030. And by the way, in the forensic audit, if it goes back that far, it was according to policy that that be done at that time. But that's a personal reason, and I won't get into that here because I think we have to get on with the business of the city. And these two reports today are all talking about last year, the year before, and 5 years and 8 years. And I wish we'd spend just a little bit of time on the federal budget, the fact that there was no mention in there that was for municipalities. How are we going to find the funding for our proposed new Zoom lines? How are we going to find the funding for phase 2 of our downtown redevelopment plan? What's our plan B? These are the things we could be talking about at council. So that's why I went on the board. So I would like there to be an RFP. I would like the questions to be asked. Maybe it can't be forensically, but I'm not afraid for them to say, can I have the regional information? I mean, I'll provide it. I'll get it for them. It doesn't have to be an expensive process. You're welcome to it. I don't use the conference budget at the city or at the region of Peel. I don't think we've used the conference budget for Peel Living. But let's be clear, the public needs to know, as an elected official, you're allowed to go on one conference a year at the city of Brampton. I only go to the ones I serve on the board. You're allowed to go on one at the region of Peel. You're allowed to go on one for Peel Living. So I think I want the forensic audit to be clear what councillors are entitled to, or I shouldn't, no, pardon me, scratch the word entitled because I'll be wearing that for the next 2 weeks. What is within the policy, and then when councillors are exceeding the policy or not even availing themselves because they're just doing the work. For example, I won't use examples. I'll save it for the forensic audit, and I look forward to it. Councillor Callahan.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Listened to Councillor Miles, and she's making some comments which I would certainly will consider because it's may be a route that we can go. But even Revenue Canada does not require the taxing person to pay the estimated taxed monies before they find the person from revenue or the person who filed is innocent. That's what we're doing here. Is we're suggesting that, well, you can put your money in there, and if it all works out and you win or you don't get called on the carpet, you get your money back. Well, as I understand what we were being told by the forensic audit is that normally the auditor comes in, he sits down with each one of us and discusses what's going on, and then he or she can go on and check to see if that checks in line with the receipts. I think that's the nature of the beast, isn't it? Right.
But that's not the only part of the audit. The audit has been directed to include all expenses of the mayor, members of council for whether it's the 3 years or the 6 years. So based on
end of the day, if the auditor, after going through this process, decides that everything's been done perfectly all right, or it was a mistake or whatever, then if the people have paid their money to reimburse the city for going through this, that they will get it back. Is that right?
I don't, through you, Madam Chair, I'm not aware of that.
Well, I think somebody
No.
told us that. I think it was Mr.
No.
Mr. Justice.
Oh, that's different.
Yeah, I thought he told us that, or someone else told us that too, I think. I know, but it seems to me to be a bit, it's a presumptive act on the part of all of us, that one or other of our colleagues is going to come up short. And if they come up short, then they deserve to, whatever the penalty is. And what we understand the penalty is, or I thought it was you, it must have been one of the other people here, was that it then is referred to the commissioner, the integrity commissioner, and he then applies whatever the relevant penalty is. You don't have anything to do with that.
Well, through you, Madam Chair, what will happen is the audit will be looking at compliance to policies. So at the end, the report should have some recommendations in the report, or may have recommendations.
Okay.
It is in the terms of reference or recommendation that a copy of the report will go to the integrity commissioner for his review.
All right. And as I understand it, he will be the one, or she, if we decide to take a different course, to determine what the penalty is. Now, the penalty can be anything. I've read the act. The penalty can be anything from nothing to a couple other minor items. And then, I guess if you get enough of those, then the city can say, all right, you can have this money back that you collected and had no idea this would ever happen. I mean, this is like being shot out of a cannon. I'd like to know how many of the people here can come up with, $6,000, $7,000, $8,000. I'll bet you there are some of them here that have that kind of expenditure. Are you asking for them to pony up, or are we asking them to pony up for all that? Pardon? Well, yeah, but we've gone through this issue, at least peripherally, by determining that, for instance, my Star and Globe, I filed a yearly subscription for that. What do I do? Drive down there and say to them, sorry, Mommy won't let me pay?
There's no policy saying you could not. Therefore, it would not be seen as a violation.
All right.
It would be seen as an expense, and following the forensic audit, they may say you need a policy about it, and we just created one. So there's no, for example, 407.
Yeah, that's the next one.
There's no policy presently on transponders and 407 bills. So they can go back and see what time you got in the 407 and what time you got back in the 407. They might ask you what you were doing there. It wasn't city business, for example, for somebody, or it is or isn't, but there's no policy.
Okay,
You can use-
as long as we're at Edom that there is no policy, because I don't think there could be. That's ludicrous.
Well, it's just what
Give somebody a-
Councillor Miles' point is, this
Yeah.
goes through a great big explanation, very expensive
Give somebody a
management tool
car
to
and tell them
say,
they can't use it unless they drive within the perimeters of Peel. I guess Peel, I don't even know if it's Peel Region or if it's Brampton or it's Caledon where you can drive. So we're gonna have somebody who's gonna police that little
no,
bit.
they're going to do a forensic investigation of somebody's 407 numbers, so maybe you spent this $300 in the 407 and there's no policy, and you say, I don't remember where I went,
Okay.
but we've spent $2,500 looking at that, talking about that 300. That, by the way, was money spent 4 years ago or maybe 8 years ago. It doesn't bring anything back to the
Okay.
taxpayers. It's just a watershed of money out.
This whole thing, Madam Mayor, and I remember it distinctly, started up in 2008. When I went to the treasurer, they were producing the financial statements for that year, and I had looked at the financial statement, and I went up to our then treasurer, and I said, where is the money from the gala? He said, that has nothing to do with us.
That's right.
Okay, so I said, okay, you're a treasurer, you know these things, so I just sort of backed off. In 2009, I did it again, and I don't think that's I think that's what's being looked for, and I think that's a legitimate thing to be asked for, and if you have no problems with it,
I have no
we
problem.
could get on with it, and maybe this whole thing might go away, I don't know. But those are the critical years, as you recall, because of the things that happened after that. There were no financial statements at 2/11 on up.
No, actually, the financial statements start in 2008, but it's a private organization of volunteers, and you have a summary of every time the city wrote a check and bought a table to attend the Gallon Golf, and you've also now have a summary that $350,000 came back. It's a separate fundraiser and organization. It is not a city event.
That's an issue, that's an issue that the auditor can determine whether or not that was the case.
Well, actually, I don't know what the auditor can do there, but I can tell
Well,
you
the
that
au- the au-
entire issue was sent to the Integrity Commissioner, reviewed, and there was no,
Well,
there was
we're
no
past-
violation, nothing found inappropriate.
We're
What
past,
are we looking for?
we're past the last guy that talked to us, the judge. We're past him.
What are you looking for?
Well, I'll tell you in spades what we're looking for,
What?
as far as I can tell anyway, is the 2 times I asked for some justification, as was my right, because I'm
Yep.
representing my constituents, for some proof that the monies from the 2008 gala and the 2009 gala
Yes?
were in fact received and accounted for. That's my thing. And, if you can establish that to me, and you have to agree that at the time that this all took place, I inquired, I was after Heather Picken, I guess, for a long time to produce something, and she kept saying no, and it took a year, I think, for them to produce some verification. And I would think you as mayor would want to have this issue, this cloud, removed.
Bob, there is no cloud, and
Well,
please
I don't
don't
know
put
whether there
words
is
in.
either, Mayor, I don't know, but I'm saying that one would think that you'd want the cloud removed, and
I'm
the
not
whole-
disagreeing with your forensic audit. You guys have asked for it. I said, bring it on.
Okay.
I have nothing to hide. I'm so proud of the group of volunteers that prepared something and took a risk that maybe it would have flopped. The next gala is February 22nd. They're honoring the Chu family.
Okay.
I think it's fantastic. It's a fundraiser like any other. And the audited books that I asked to have audited when I was involved, long before this was a controversy,
All right.
were put up on the website for everybody to see, reviewed by lawyers, reviewed by the Integrity Commissioner.
Well, I don't know
What
about,
is your
I don't know about
question?
all that, because I don't use those magic things like,
Well, and you knew that the chair of the board was sitting here. Why don't you just ask your specific question? Make the question specific.
I did, I
Go
asked
to
the question
source.
twice, never got an answer.
You asked at the city about an event that isn't a city event. It's like asking the hospital, how did you
No.
do on your hospital
No,
gala?
that's
It
not
has
the- that-
nothing to do with the city.
That's not the way it works, with all due respect. If you
Okay.
run, well, listen to me, and maybe you'll decide to agree, and maybe you won't. If you run an operation, which was, I guess, the allegation all along, the people who were staff were attending at these and helping out, and no, I can't say that necessarily was all that terrible. But then it got into the question of the staff being either given tickets or suggested that they buy some. But this all happened within those 2 periods, and there was no financial statement. There was nothing in it. There had to be. There had to be, because you were using, well, you can take it that way, but
Please
you were
state
using.
your accusation clearly. That is the most important thing to me today.
Yeah, well, you would know, but whether it happened deliberately or not deliberately, the fact remains that those are 2 facts that you cannot dispute, and I don't think anybody has disputed this since the day I raised it, is that 2008 and 2009 were not properly documented, and in fact, what was happening was, you had the balance of whatever was left over after all the expenses were paid, and you put it someplace, and we don't know where it
Thank
is.
you.
If
I
you-
think-
if
keep
you've got it,
going.
if
Keep
you've-
going.
If you've got it somewhere, try and produce it.
Are you accusing me of taking money, Councillor
not
Callahan?
accusing you of anything.
You just did.
No, I did
You
not.
said there was
Like-
money given out, and then the balance, you put it
no.
somewhere.
No, no,
You know,
I
we'll
said-
just keep the tape.
Well,
There you go.
what is that, a threat? You're gonna sue me for slander?
I'm not threatening, I'm just getting
I
a
could,
copy
I
of the
could bring
tech
a lot,
counselor.
yeah, all right, well,
Thank
you're
you.
not listening. For some reason, you're on this
No,
terrible.
counselor, you're on this roll to discredit my reputation.
I'm not on this roll to discredit
Could
you.
we get
You
back
may
to
You
business?
may remember, Madam Mayor, being on my front porch before I think it was before 2 elections ago, and I said to her, because it was a hot issue, I said, you better do something about it, because it's gonna come back to bite you. And you did nothing about it.
No, that's not true. The
Well,
group of
then I'm lying. Then
volunteers
you're saying
have
I'm lying.
audited statements, they've been posted on the internet, they've been reviewed by an integrity commissioner, the whole world can see, and you're not happy because there's nothing wrong. So we're gonna ask it in 15 different
That's an
ways.
unfair statement that I'm happy. I'm not happy at all. I'm very unhappy, and I think most of the people on this council are very unhappy, that this whole thing is just sort of gathered on, and it's created a problem amongst all of us. I agree that the last year and a half or 3 years has been pure hell. And nobody seems to be
Yes,
able to get
because
along with
I've
one
sat,
another.
Counselor, I've sat here politely while there've been barbs thrown at me, and I don't ask back of each of you the multiple questions I get about the expenses in your accounts. People have been mortified that you use taxpayers' money for your law firm, but the forensic audit will sort out
Well,
whether that was appropriate.
I explained that, and I gather that you may have let Pat or Pam, whatever her name, hear about it. I have no embarrassment for that at all. In fact, I had seniors over at the Seniors Council who I was going to help
Why
them
don't we
with.
let the
Just let me
forensic
finish,
audit
please.
solve
Let
it?
me finish. Who I was going to try to help with some wills and estates. I wasn't going to charge them a nickel for it.
Is that what you're licensed to
The minute
do?
this thing hit the roof, I said to them, in fact, I said to them in a meeting, I think you were there, I said, I can't do anything for you. I had no intention of collecting money for them for doing the work. I was doing it because I believe that seniors have got enough of a burden as it is, and I have never collected fees or disbursements up to that point. And in fact, I had paid something like $15,000 a year over all the years that I've been on city council. I paid out of my pocket, thank you. You get somebody else
That's
who
for the
did that.
forensic audit to decide.
Well, look, I tell you what I think, and I think it's wrong. I will not vote for a prepay of whatever you say we've got, because you won't know until the auditor does his audit. At the time he does the audit, or she does the audit, and they come back and say, okay, here's what is outstanding or you should be doing, maybe at that time I would consider it. But I'm not about to do it now, Mr. Mayor. It's all nice and good for you to say that you'll give $3,000 back. Add the 3,000, yes, it was in the paper.
No,
It was-
I did that
Yeah,
because
oh, I know.
I want to make
Yeah.
accurate what I was
Oh,
saying.
yeah, I know it was there. But if you take your $3,000 and look at what I make or any other regional or municipal councilor makes, it's a drop in the bucket. It's easy for you to say, I could have said too, I'll throw in $10,000 just for political reasons. I don't believe that. I believe that what I did was right, and I think most of us who did those things believe they were right, and
Then
it
why
should
are
be
you doing a
determined,
forensic
it should be
audit?
determined
What
by
we all
the auditor first, and then we can sit down and talk about how we deal with it afterwards. That's all I have to say, Madam Mayor.
Counselor, thank you. Counselor Sprovier. Oh, Counselor Gibson, do you want to go now? Go. Sorry, Counselor Sprovier, you're okay with that? Counselor Gibson just took his name off because he was going to leave, but he's back.
No,
Oh.
through you, Madam Mayor.
Okay, so could you
Something
speak
must have
first?
happened that
Thank
Councillor
you.
Gibson's name was after Councillor Callahan.
Sandra Hames, isn't it?
Well, the list says Counselor Sprovieri, then Counselor Hames, Scott Mayor Fennel, and I'm only there because I'm running the microphone, but Counselor Gibson's name popped off, so I'm calling Counselor Gibson now to take the floor.
I want to call the question, I want to speak. I'd love to call the question, but I just, we're almost done. You know, I want to explain why I personally will support this. And I personally have heard from a lot of people that they're very upset about what's going on around council. Very upset about expenditures and things like that. And, you know, I've had a couple calls and people, you know, if I say, well, if you're upset at me, please tell me what is it you're upset about my expenditures. Well, so far, I haven't had anybody say my expenditures were bad, to me anyway. that, it's all out there. It's all out there, the council's a bad thing right now. It's in the papers, and, everybody keeps pointing fingers at the Star. Well, it's not just the Star, but let's be honest. The Guardian also did a look at all of us and all our expenditures. It was the Guardian years ago, if you recall, that asked for a forensic audit to be done on the mayor's stuff. So, let's not just point fingers at one reporter or one newspaper. And I'm not saying that that the newspapers, either one of them, did anything bad. They just reported what's out there. Mr. Corbett, at our last meeting, said that the numbers were factual that were put out there. So let's be honest with each other. We haven't functioned very well for 4 years. There's a lot of reasons, and it's not just about this. But I don't know whether anybody here, used city resources to extend their vacation. I don't know whether anybody stayed only one night in a hotel. Madam Mayor, you throw those out. I don't know why
Sorry?
you throw those out, but certainly I don't think it was me that did it. So
Did which, sorry? Sorry, the clerk was just bringing this back. I missed that
You
last
threw
part.
out that somebody is using city resources to fly to extend their vacations, and you said that somebody is staying one night in a hotel when they should be at a conference or function. I don't know why you throw those things out. Obviously, you think somebody's done that. But these audits will, in my mind, bring some of this stuff out. And I think a lot of the stuff that we've done here, there is absolutely nothing wrong. I don't know, I can't point a finger, and I wouldn't, even if I did, if I could, at any one of the members of the council here and say, you've done something wrong. We all, I believe, do things within the policy. But you'll recall that I was the one that argued years ago that we should have stuck with our rules-based policy. The reason why my opinion is that we are in trouble today is because we went to a trust-based policy. And I argued years ago, if we had rules in front of us, we follow those rules. If we went out of those rules, staff would say, can't do that. We're not accepting that receipt. That's what happened years ago, if you all recall. And we never had any controversy here about our expenditures. Not once did I ever remember one member of council ever being scrutinized by the public or the papers out there, or any press, when we had a rules-based policy. I disagreed with this trust-based, and I still to this day disagree with it. Because rules keep us within the rules that are in front of us. Obviously, things are coming out now. People are saying, well, now we can't trust the mayor and members of council because of the way they're extending what they think is the policies in front of them. And that's why we're in trouble today. Up until the Guardian put out all our expenditures out there, they were only the press were only pointing fingers at one person, Madam Mayor, and that was you. And that's up to you to defend those things, not up to us to defend them. So I don't know why we continue to have to battle back and forth like this and point fingers at each other. And the best thing, in my opinion, we can do is to get this monkey off our back, is to do the forensic audit, because that's what people are telling me that needs to be done. Do a forensic audit, get it all out there. Let's see who is doing wrong or not doing wrong things. And all I can say is I hope I haven't done anything wrong. I certainly think I haven't. And if I have, believe me, I'd be willing to pay it back, or I'd be willing to stop doing it. I said that about my expenditures. The public don't think that I'm doing my expenditures right. I just won't do it. Simple as that. Simple as that. I spend things on my expenditure, and by the way, I have one of the lowest on council when you put it all in there. All of the expenditures should be included, not just from other accounts. I have the second lowest on this council. I'm not even close to Councilor Pleshy because he's the lowest. But, I don't know why anybody would be afraid of doing a forensic audit. Personally, I think, well, I've heard people have. I think that's what I have heard, Councillor Miles, maybe you haven't, but I have heard from my constituents and constituents from all over the city who have sent me emails. And when I say that, it's not like there's hundreds, there's probably about 10 that weren't in my ward who are saying, do a forensic audit. Get it done. That's why I'm going to support it, not because I want it, not because I think we need to be looking and pointing fingers at each other. But I'm sick and tired of the fighting we've done for the last 4 years. Sick and tired of it. Nobody in this council, and I say nobody, I'm not pointing fingers at you, Madam Mayor, but nobody has shown any leadership to put this council back together. Nobody has yet. And that's what we need to be doing, get on with the damn business that we're supposed to do, get on with why we're elected, and stop doing this crap that we're pulling now. Well, it's never too late, Councillor Miles. Well, maybe you and I did try, Councillor Miles, you're absolutely right. You and I tried to put this council together. Unfortunately, it didn't work, and hopefully, I hope to be back the next election. I hope that the public see that there are some council members around here that aren't doing shenanigans like some people say we're doing, and I hope that some of us, that the people that deserve to be back will be back. If not, you know, I will retire. As simple as that. Forced retirement, by the way.
Gary, are you still on?
Thank you.
Question, please.
Okay, go.
I don't know whether the lady can answer or the manager. This forensic audit, you mentioned that members of councils will be interviewed, and we, for what we spend or for what we are concerned about? In other words, if some of us are concerned about some of the issues that we wanted to be looked at, would that auditor look at those particular issues? Or would they, let's say for instance, I was reported I used $400 in the last 3 years on the 407 to go to TRCA. So the auditor says, well, you better check that out because maybe John didn't use and all the dates on the TRCA are all known, the schedule. And so I can verify, I get on 427, get off on Jane Street, get on Jane Street, get off at 427. Sometime I'll go from Jane Street to Highway 10 to get to City Hall, sometime for meetings. So that's all there on the bills. So if somebody has concerns that maybe John used it to go to, I don't know, Markham for something, I don't have anybody there. I have no reason to go to Markham. But if it shows that there's a trip to Markham, then the guy will say, hey, what's this? You went to Markham on this date. What did you go there for? Is that what the intention is? That they will look at only whatever we raise as a council? Or will they look at everything, and if it looks suspicious, they will ask us the question? Okay? Right.
Every council member and the mayor to understand any issues or concerns you may have under the scope of this audit.
Right.
The auditor then will determine whether those concerns are within this scope and then add it to the, if it is, add it to the work plan. Your second question on the ETR, the auditor will look at every single ETR, in this case, ETR charge, and look for the receipt, look for the times, and may come back and ask you where you did go on that particular, so they may come back and ask where did you go on that, what city business.
No, the question was, will he look at my 407 bill only if somebody asks him to look?
No.
He will look at that anyway.
That's, your concerns or the issues that brought up by council is separate to
Okay.
every single expense
Okay.
incurred.
I
And that's incurred and not, so it could be in the discretionary account, the corporate account, or any other account. So-
Okay, I get your,
So there's two components to
yeah,
it,
I get the wind.
and then it's also the ones where, city resources used for non-city business as
Right.
well. So it's both,
Okay,
okay?
great, thank you.
I will, thank you very much, Madam Mayor. I've got a kind of a froggy throat today, so just bear with me. We just had the Integrity Commissioner here today, and it's going to cost us around $200,000, correct? Somewhere around that. And then now we want to do a forensic audit that's going to cost us another $200,000. $400,000 for something that could be done quite simply here around this council table if we all put our minds to doing that. It's when we talk about the public needs to hear this, public needs to hear that, but when they hear that we're going to be spending $400,000, what do you think that's going to do that's gonna do to members of council who are running for election. You know, it's just sad. We've tried to get something, um, I've tried anyway, to make sure that whenever we're at this council table, that we do what we feel best is for the residents that we serve, not for us. It's not about us, and it shouldn't be about us. It should be about the residents, the seniors who and people who have lower incomes. They're the people that we should be fighting for, not fighting each other around this table. And I know it's not going to change for the immediate time, but I'm just hoping that in the next term that things do change and we do respect the people that we are serving and that have to pay their tax dollars to us. And we're doing things like spending $400,000 just to get some items in here that people think should be there. You know, I just think that's a shame, and I think it's a shame for this council to be facilitating this. We should all of every one of us should know what we do with our discretionary accounts, and they know what we shouldn't be doing. And that's all I have to say, because I'm getting more croaky. It's I can't lose my.
So many hours today on these two reports. You know, the counselor said this all started with my gala. I would submit that this all started when Mr. Cutrozola was disqualified, but that's for another day. It's on the tape. We'll defend it. So council, I have a series of motions here, and I'm going to ask you if you will call a truce. It is election year. There's going to be people that want to be the mayor. I want to be the mayor, continuing. You want to be the councillors, continue. You'll be challenged. But I, as mayor, am asking you not to use this forum or this chamber any further for political maneuvering. For or against. Well, I have been battered for 2.5 years in this chamber, and I have kept the high road, and I will continue to do that. I said that in December 11th. I said it in an earlier thing, and that's leadership, but you can't lead people that don't want to be led. But I'm proud of leading to successful 98% votes carried unanimously. That's the business of council. Council, we have the resolutions here. Let's start again with the easy ones. Dare I say it? I want to move that Mr. Birdie delegation be received. Can we vote on that? Sorry, Councillor Gibson. Now, Councillor, here we go.
Well,
didn't you call the question?
Oh, I never called the question.
I just want to find out what it means first. What does that mean that you find out how much you owe?
No. We haven't got there yet. Haven't got there yet. We're just moving receipt of Mr. Birdie. That's it. Can you vote for that? Good. Councillor Gibson, did you have another question?
Yeah, I'm not gonna let this, sorry, Madam Mayor, but I'm not gonna let this meeting end on that note, because I don't believe anybody over here is doing any political maneuvering. I don't think any political maneuvering has been going on for 4 years. I think we're doing the best we can, the job that we're elected to do. So, you know, please don't end the note trying to portray something as being everybody's out to get you. And
No,
I don't know
I didn't say that.
I
I'm talking
certainly
about
don't know
everybody
what
with
this, if
everybody.
I have the floor, Madam Mayor, I certainly don't know what this accusation is about Mr. Cutrozola. You seem to want to tell people that there's 5 members of council around here that meet or want to talk about Mr. Cutrozola stuff. I have never in
I
my
didn't
life
say that.
ever done. You say it all the time, you just did it here. It all started
did
with
not
Mr.
say-
Cutrozola not getting
Yes, he
something.
walked in the door with his invoice to the gala
I
and
gotta
said
tell you
he
something,
couldn't
Madam Mayor,
get
this
it through
started
the-
long before that ever happened.
Okay,
And you certainly haven't shown any leadership in putting us back together.
thank you. It would be impossible. That would be for new councillors. Counselor Callahan.
Yeah, Madam Mayor, when it comes time for a vote, I want some clarification as to whether or not the amounts from 208 to 213 are going to be,
That's a separate vote. I'll let you know when we get there.
oh,
Can we
all right,
do that?
well, you're on the other one, are you?
No, I was just on the receipt of the delegation.
I just want to know, if it's, I've got to go and get my bag of pennies and go down to the treasurer and say, here, you
You're
hold
not
on to
there
these
yet.
for a year and a half while I
You're not
wait to
there
be.
yet. Okay, council, there's, the next motion, let me put my glasses on. It's the one in your binder, it's I-1-1, and that, this is to hire the third party. Oh, I have to do the amendments first, pardon me. Okay, I've got a pile of amendments. One of the amendments is moved by myself. I don't have a seconder. I'll read it if anybody wants to second it. If you don't second it, it will go in the record as an unseconded motion. That the selection of the forensic auditor be conducted through an RFP process in accordance with the city's purchasing bylaw. Do I have a seconder? Will you second that? Okay, seconded by Councillor Moore. All those in favor? It's carried. So there you go. The next amendment I put forward was that should there be findings of contravention of city policies or procedures for member of council expenses be found and confirmed through the forensic audit, that the specific member of council be required to repay the specific expenses from their personal funds. Before we discuss it, do I have a seconder?
Seconded.
There you go. Okay. Debate, Councillor Callahan. Okay,
What I want clarified is that it appears from what the wording is that you're saying that in advance of any breach of the rules, that the auditor can say, okay, you owe $2,000, pay up. Or is it just a recording of that's how much you owe if you, and if the commissioner, the guy that, Justice, what's his face? Can't remember his
so
name.
that's a good process question. So forensic auditor says this $12.83 really is completely outside of
All right.
policy. And then that goes to the integrity commissioner, or at that point, we're saying just pay it back. Let's not waste the integrity commissioner's time. I'm saying if there's a finding of inappropriate expenditures of taxpayers' money, and it's a finding in the forensic audit, which is looking for theft and fraud,
Right.
because that's what a forensic audit, then the member of council be required to repay it. It still goes to the integrity commissioner,
Okay.
who has full powers to report to police.
That's fine.
Okay?
Clear on that.
And you would like a recorded vote on that? Okay, all those, I better sign it.
Recorded vote's been requested with respect to the amendment moved by Mayor Fennell and Councillor Sprovieri. All in favor of the amendment, stand to be counted. Showing in favor is Councillor Miles, Councillor Hames, Councillor Moore, Councillor Gibson, Mayor Fennell, Councillor Hutton, Councillor Sprovieri, Councillor Sanderson, Councillor Callahan. Madam Mayor, the motion carries unanimously 9-0.
Now, if you find that you spent money that you should have claimed to the city, you don't get your money back.
So in other words, you're cut off completely from the babysitting fees, are you?
Well, I've never collected it. I have not collected per diem, so, yeah, it shows when I spend $2 because I saved the 58, but that's another story. I'd like it to all show. Council, the next motion I put forward, I'm looking for a seconder. There were extra words when there was a reluctance to sign, but those words were not my intent. I've removed them, so listen, please. That the scope of the terms of reference for the forensic audit include reviewing the member of council's travel to conferences, and that would review the arrival and departure dates with respect to the conference, so as to confirm that there were no taxpayers' money used for additional nights in the hotel, or that, so what your arrival and departure dates were in your per diems. In other words, if you have a conference for 4 days and you expended 9, if that was found, that will be found without explanation. The taxpayers aren't paying for your additional days. The policy is very clear. You can arrive the day before, leave the day after, and accept a per diem for all the days if that's what you choose to do. What I'm asking that this review, if there's been, if a member of council has traveled and stayed longer at the taxpayer's expense, you may decide to stay longer at your own expense wherever you are. That's not what the forensic audit is covering. It's when the city pays the bill, correct? I think that's fair. Does anyone want to second that motion? Okay. Okay, all those, do you want a recorded vote, or if we just do a regular vote? All those in favor? That's carried. I just want to make sure that was clear, because it said, it had in here about companions. It's not about companions, it's about your own arrival and departure and how many days you ding the taxpayers for. Thank you. The next motion, does it matter which one I do? Okay, well, let me do this one first. It's on top. By Councillor Moore and Gibson, that the scope of the forensic audit include all expenses from January 2008 to February 12, 2013, inclusive, the purpose being to compare 3 years of expenses under the previous rules-based policy with oversight and the years under the February 2011 approved Code of Conduct and Values-Based Expense Policy. No, we've already done the payment. You would have to pay it back then. Whatever's covered, you have to pay back. Okay? Does anybody want, Councillor
I want
Miles?
to speak to it. I
Okay.
want to know from the city manager, that's an extra 2 years?
That's hard to, that's an extra 2 years of.
That's an extra 2
Review.
years, so.
And then what that in terms of expanded work program, I could not guess right now what that might be, but.
Okay, so members of council, your forensic audit that was requested was 4 years. Now you want to go 6 years? For what reason? For what reason are you going to add on another $100,000 to $200,000? We don't even know. Additional years for a forensic audit. And I know Councillor Moore says we have to do it because there's something untowards that happened in 2008.
No,
Yes,
sure.
you did. You told me. And I have no idea what could have happened, that a forensic audit needs to go back to 2008. And that's mid-term of a term of council. So, no, council's 4 years. Our terms are for 4 years. So, do this term of council, and if that's the way you're gonna do it, but
The city manager has an idea.
why wouldn't you go
For-
back
Because the purpose was for comparison, so.
to 2000?
I think there's a way to deal with this. We can do a comparator without the years, but also if through the course of the council interviews, there's an item that's brought up that's a previous year, then that can be dealt with, so that would truncate
Maybe
the
that's
amount
better
of
than
time.
doing a full-blown thing.
So that you can still indicate that through the,
Cause it's a lot of money.
Then I think the wording needs to be changed in the terms of reference, because if you're suggesting that through the interview process,
yeah.
if a concern is raised that predates 2010,
Then the auditor could pursue that
okay,
item.
then can you just point me to the language? Point me to that part of the recommendation. It's in the overview, but I don't see it embedded
I'll
in
find
the
it.
recommendation. So it's saying that the terms of reference, the audit will cover the period incurred within the term of council, starting from December 1st to an end date of January the 31st, which has now been amended to February the
Why don't
12th,
you
I
make it
guess it is
Valentine's
today.
Day?
But I think there needs
So
to be.
it's item D, under C, page 4, under procedures.
Okay.
The third-party auditor will interview the mayor and all members of council initially to divide their issues and concerns, and then we could add a